Hey, y'all. This is Sam with the Roots of Change Agency and Roots of Change podcast. And I am so excited because I have two amazing sisters with me today. I have Sharon Hurley Hall and Lisa Hurley today. We're talking about sisterhood, radical joy, and radical rest. Really so excited to have you. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome, Lisa. Sharon, do you want to kind of just start off and introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm so happy to be here. This is a topic that is getting closer and closer to my heart. I have not always been good at doing the rest bit, but yeah, it is great. I am the founder of Sharon's Anti-Racism newsletter, the author of I'm Tired of Racism, the founder of the Share Anti-Racism community, and an educator as well. Over to you, sis.
Thank you. And Sam, thanks for having me. Thanks for having us. I'm so happy to be here. And these are topics very, very dear to my heart. Rest, joy, advocacy, activism, sisterhood, all of the above. So I'm happy to, jump into a discussion about that. And I am the founder of The Great Exhale, the author of Space to Exhale. And yeah, that's me, I think, right? Did I leave anything out, sis? Did I miss anything? I think that was it.
No, I think that'll do for now. More things will come out as we
More
talk.
things, exactly. More things will
Oh,
emerge.
and we should also say that way back when we also co-founded and co-hosted the Introvert Sisters podcast,
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
which ran
Yes.
for a whopping 78 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna link those because it sounds like people are still listening, which I love. And yeah, I mean, I would love like Lisa just to start off. For both of you, you both have accomplished so much, and we were talking before we started recording. Just the sisterhood rivalry of like constantly wanting to do better than your big sister. So why did you start the Great Exhale, and what was that kind of journey to getting there?
And so I started the Great Exhale because I'd gotten involved in activism online, especially on LinkedIn, around, like many of us, around the time around 2020, George Floyd, all of that was going on. And I just made a decision to start speaking up more. And so as I dove deeper into, if dove is a word, is it dove or dived? Side note, but people understand what I mean. But
It
as I,
is
as I
dope.
got deeper, into activism, myself and the other activists around me, I could tell that like I was exhausted. Everyone was exhausted, and Black women seemed to be having it worse than other communities. And so I realized that Black women needed a safe a space where they could relax, feel safe, not have to be on all the time, not have to be performing labor all the time.
Mhm.
And yes, just a space where they could, let their hair down, take a breath, relax, and just be themselves. And so that's how the Great Exhale started. And then, in terms of what you spoke about, mentioned earlier, about Sharon and I, and competing. I don't even know if it is like a competition thing. It is more that, and this is for everybody listening in, Sam, because you already know this, but Sharon is big sis and I'm little sis. And there is always, no matter how old you get, there's always this thing as little sis, at least for me, where like Sharon is a great big sis. She's an
Mhm.
awesome big sis, right? She does cool things. She hangs out with cool people. She sets a great example. She's always exploring and evolving and doing exciting stuff. And so even though obviously we're older in age now, but there's still that little girl, that little sis inside who's like, "Ooh, what's Sharon doing? How can I do it too?" Because she makes it look cool, and you just kind of like, oh, that's one of the people I want to be and be like when I grow up. It's like that kind of a thing. And so she's been an author. I don't even know how many books she's actually published. Some are not, some are ebooks only, and she has a few in print. And so, yeah, I always want to be in that way, be like Big Sis as well, become an author. And so now I finally am. So that's, I'm publishing Space Exhale, and it's coming out in May 6th, 2025. Woo, woo, woo. So, yeah, that's it.
I love that. And I'm sure it's really helpful too, because you guys were both doing so much work back in 2020 just to have each other to support and have that system.
Yes.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, the the sisterhood element of the introvert sisters was a huge thing. And we kept meeting these people say, wait, y'all are really sisters? Y'all are not sister stars, y'all are sisters, that kind of thing. I say, yeah, we're really sisters. We're really sisters. And so that support, that interest in what each other is doing, that desire to see each other succeed, that showing up for each other, that I mean, that's kind of how we've always lived. And so what you see of us online, what people see of us online, is not something we're putting on for online. That is the way it is, right? We show up for each other, we support each other, we counsel each other, we do all of those things. Right now when we're talking, Lisa will message me and say, hey, what do you think of this thing that I'm doing for the book? And I messaged her yesterday when I launched my new live show and say, how was the show? How was the show? Tell me, right? And we very successfully walk the line between support and wanting to help each other elevate, right? But we do it with love. We do it with love.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really great because, obviously we're recording this February 1st. We are in a moment, particularly in the United States, but we know the United States really has impact globally. And I just, I think so much about the United States as a family. Like, we are really dysfunctional right now, and we do not know how to repair. We don't know how to communicate. And so I imagine, for both of you, it's really helpful to kind of have those challenging moments together so that you can then do that in a more safe way outside and help support people as they're trying to, just live and do that in this wild world.
Yeah, sisterhood, having a base of community within family, right? And so if you think of it that way, so Sharon and I are our own sisterhood community. And it's interesting to me that both of us in different ways have ended up founding communities. But when you think of it, it's like, well, that's what we've always done. It started out with for each other and expanded out to our friend group, and then expanded out to our wider circle, and expanded out to folks on LinkedIn. And so, but it's all based on how we have always shown up for each other. So the generosity of what I call the ministry of presence, literally showing up, being present, doing check-ins. How are you feeling? As Sharon said earlier, how did this go? How are you feeling about this? What did you think about that? And there's also, girl, why did you do that? Sometimes, right?
But also, can I jump in just to say that there's also the grace, because as you pointed out, Sam, like, we're doing a lot of stuff. We do not expect each other to watch every single thing, attend every single event. But when it is important to do the check-in, we do the check-in. And I just want to point out, we're talking about the big sis, little sis thing, that in this case, I'm the one that is following Lisa's example because she was the first one to found a community. Right? And so, there you are leading the way. And I'm saying, hey, okay.
Good idea, right?
Right.
And because of that, so and because we've both taken different routes with publishing, for example, but there's a lot of stuff that that in different ways we both don't know. But now, yeah, she's done self-publishing, I'm doing trad publishing, but we kind of like cross-pollinate, help each other out. Hey, here's what I learned from the publisher. You can do this for your book. Or hey,
Mhm.
here's how I handle this as an indie. You should do that for your book.
Yeah.
And so that is extremely helpful. And also with the communities, Sharon asked me, although she's much better with tech and that kind of thing than I am, but she asked, hey, which platforms did you research? What was your experience? Why did you choose the one that you ended up with, et cetera, et cetera? And so at least having a resource that you can call on, and without it feeling transactional, right?
Yes.
Because we just do it for each other. It just is natural, and you
Yeah.
genuinely want the other person to do their best, be their biggest, make a splash, and we go out of our way to help each other.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's very interesting actually that we keep taking almost the same path. Like, who knew that we were both going to end up being writers? But then I ended up on the freelance route and you ended up on the corporate route,
Yes,
right?
yes,
But then we both ended up in marketing, but you were doing marketing for corporates and I was writing about digital marketing. It's like, and it's like we keep having these, which is good because it brings a richness to the conversations that we're able to have. Most of the ways in which we're able to support each other and the ways in which we're able to support our wider network and our communities, because we always have that depth of experience between us to bring to any conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And showing up at times, like there's also having not just skills and experience, but also emotional intelligence. I definitely remember when Sharon was visiting me in New Jersey at some point. I was completely slammed with like 5 million things to do, and I had an interview to plan for. Actually, no, 3 interviews to plan for the next day. I hadn't even started them. It was like 8 o'clock at night. And Sharon took one look at me. I literally had been just like typing like the Kermit meme all day, right? And she took one look at me, and then next thing you know, I got an email. Which was funny because we were sitting like right next to each other. But I got an email, and she had planned out the interviews for me. Right then, when she was launching her store, her Sharon's and Teresa
Mm.
newsletter store. And she said at one point, she said she wanted to do merch. I wouldn't even let her start. I had been through, it was hell. I had been through the hell. I was like, I don't want that for anybody else. I immediately texted her and said, if it's good with you, send me your login information. I will set the store up for
And
you.
she did.
You can go
She
in and
did.
change anything, but let me do this so you don't have
Yeah.
to deal with
Oh
it.
my God, it was so amazing. And so, one day I wanted a merch store, and the next day Lisa had set up the store with 10 products. Right?
Amazing.
But
And
I
so
mean,
like most people don't see the behind the scenes stuff,
yeah.
right?
yeah.
But in what the bit that people see, there is a depth at the back of that,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
To the level of support.
Well, there's like a level of reciprocity, and I've been
Oh.
talking a lot about that around like, there's just in this world that we live in right now, there's just this constant like, well, what are you doing for me? What's in it for me? And it's like, what if we just got rid of that entirely and we just started giving? And then what do you feel when you start giving? And so
Yeah.
what I love about y'all is that you're able to like do that in like this kind of safer container, and then it just pays off and pays off, and then you grow. And like that's what you're saying now is like you're doing that for folks on LinkedIn that you have never met. Like Sharon and I we've been close for so long, for a few years now, and we've never met in person.
Oh, that's
I know.
awesome though. But it
Yeah.
really is possible to build genuine friendships and connections, parasocially. Sometimes in some ways, sometimes even closer than people that you might know,
Yes.
IRL, right? And it's interesting because there's something about the parasocial thing that you can go in one of two directions. You either get very Instagrammy and this is my best life. I'm living my best life, and it's very curated, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love a beautiful feed. I won't lie. But then there's also the other side of being able to show up just as you are. Like just this week, I actually had either 2 or 3 meetings with some folks, right? What is co-working sessions. And when I tell you, I showed up, we both showed up. Ratty sweatshirt. I was in my head wrap, no makeup, coffee mug with a chip. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Just like literally as you are, very real, very genuine, very authentic. And it was extremely helpful to know that you could show up with this person that you've never actually met in real life, but the connection is so real,
It actually reminds me, we were recently, Sam and I were both in a meeting of another community that we're in called the Flow Lab.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those situations where it's okay to turn up and say, man, what is wrong with this world? And here's how I'm feeling about it. And
Yes.
just to support each other through that, and and to actually throughout the program
Mm-hmm.
and go straight to, here's how I am, here's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going back to being human, which is what I talk about all the time. And I think so much of our, work, and even as entrepreneurs, we kind of fall into that trap of what we've been told work is, and we could just blow it all up. We could just be human and connect, and that ends up being so much more, what I like to say,
And
juicy, really.
Juicy.
yeah,
I love
and
that.
I
One of
mean,
my favorite words.
I think that's what Lisa was getting at. I was reflecting the other day. I first got online properly in 2005. I still have 3 people in my network who show up for everything I do, that I met in the first 3 months that I was blogging on a site that is now defunct. But I
Wow.
met those people, and we have a genuine friendship and relationship and support for each other. One of them was the first person to step in with a founding member subscription when I launched the newsletter.
Mm.
You know, he turned up, and when I was fundraising for the audiobook, he put some money in. It's like one of those people, but also, he's one of these people that I can talk tech with. So we have lots of conversations about what tech are you using, how is this working, how can you make this better, and so on. So it's like we have those relationships, and they're real relationships, like relationships IRL, built around mutual interest and understanding. And just because you've never met someone in person, and what I've discovered in having finally met a few people um, in real life after having interacted with them solely online, is that those are genuine relationships, because when you
Yes.
meet them, it is not like meeting a stranger.
Yeah.
It is
Exactly.
meeting
You have
someone that you
history.
already know.
You have
Yes,
history.
you have history. You have history. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think also, Sam, if I can just pick up on what you said about, you know, giving from the heart, I think, and this is not exactly what you said, but I think it was what was underlying it, genuinely, without it being transactional. And in my experience, you always get benefits from that. Things always come back round. When you least expect it, one of those people that you gave unstintingly to is going to come back and support you at the time you need it most. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we need more of that. We need more humanness. We need more, genuineness, I think.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and we also need, I love this conversation about reciprocity. There's a friend of mine that hey, Alexis Mobley, who says that relationships should be bidirectional and mutually
Mm.
right, right, mutually supportive, right.
Mm.
And so I really do believe in that. There's also that it's okay sometimes, I would say all the time, sometimes just give,
Mm.
Mhm.
sometimes just give. And if you give while thinking, what am I going to get back from this person, you're already setting yourself up for failure, right?
Right.
Yes.
And for a bad experience. Just give,
Mhm.
right? Again, when Sharon wrote up my 3 interviews, she wasn't even thinking about a store at that point, right? But she just did it because it was the right thing and the good thing to do at that time, and she knew I needed that help, right? And
Yeah.
then probably I think it was literally years later. You see what I'm saying? But even like with strangers or people that you don't know as well, just give, and that person might not be the person that returns that blessing to you. It might come
A
from
Yeah.
a
pay it forward thing, right?
say what?
A pay it forward kind of approach.
Pay it
I mean,
forward kind of approach. Just do it
but
because it's
actually,
the thing to
I
do.
agree with you. You know, the question is, are you able to give? Are you not able to give? Not what can you get back,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That's it.
Well, and
Mhm.
what I love too is like there's magic there in that unknowing, because you're giving and you don't know what is going to come back, whatever it may be. And I think that's beautiful, because I do always get something back when I give.
Always. Always.
Even if it's just the knowledge that you have helped someone have a better day
Yeah.
in
It's a
whatever
so
way it
good
is.
feeling.
I mean, that is a great feeling, and that is its own reward.
Yeah.
You know, you know, the gift that you have the ability in a particular moment to help someone out of a tough spot, in whatever kind of tough spot it is. Doesn't have to be financial. Sometimes the gift is showing up for that person and listening,
Mhm.
right? The gift is that that person called on you and you were able to give them the gift of your time, right? It's not about money necessarily.
Yeah.
It's the gift of presence, the gift of listening, the gift of sharing a moment. All of those are gifts that you gain something from,
Hmm.
and that you get back in turn later at the time when you need it. And so it's not about, I think what I'm trying to say is, it's not, for me, it's like, if I give, I give, right?
With an open hand.
Unflinchingly, with open hands, with open hearts, without expecting anything in return. But I know that the way the universe works is
Yes.
that I'm going to get blessings by
Mhm.
being open in that moment.
Because the universe always is moving toward achieving balance
Mhm.
inescapably at all times, whether we can see it or not. So yes, absolutely. If you give, the other and it's interesting, if you think of physics or quantum physics or whatever, but you have started the giving side. The receiving side is there waiting,
Mhm.
right? For you as well. And it's just a matter of when it catches up with you. There are times when it is immediate, there are times when it takes a while, but that balance at some point, that equation is going to be balanced on the other side inevitably,
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, I really appreciate that. We're going to transition into our private podcast. So thank you everyone who did listen to the public version of this. We're going to have a private version in a week. So be sure to subscribe to the Roots of Change podcast for that at rootschangemedia.com. But what I would love to get into with the private podcast is just the the conversation around melanation and how less melanated folk can really build community in a real way, and like what that looks like in a concrete way, because I love where we're going with this conversation, and I think a lot of folks are just like, I don't know where to start, what do I do?